3 movie talks. Thanks for coming back. We are back in action already. Lawson's giggling around. It is Lawson's picks in episode 3, and obviously you know my co-host and also Twitch moderator Lawson.
Hello.
So we unfortunately had to do a little bit of a change up for this week. 3,000 Years of Longing we weren't able to go and see, but we did do Alienoids, Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, which is 2-episode premiere, and also House of the Dragons episode 3. So we got lots to talk about.
So much for us. Like, we'll let you know we're gonna watch so that we can watch it with us, and then we just go against it anyway. So
it was just
sorry if anybody
change.
actually did that.
I guess they can have 2 weeks of longing instead of 3,000 years.
It's already begun.
Look at that one. I wasn't even planning that one. The note one I had in the bag ready for you. It'll get better each time.
Please move on from this.
Never. It'll come back around. Swings and roundabouts, my friend. But anyway, we are looking at the Korean blockbuster Alienoid. So Alienoid is the new, I guess, Terminator sci-fi comedy drama that comes out of Korea. I'll give you the blurb because me just trying to explain it sounds like an absolutely wacky ride, but
it's because it is.
Yeah, so this is I'm gonna read word for word just because I need to. The door of time opens between the swordsmen who want to seize the legendary divine sword at the end of the Goryeo dynasty, and those who chase after an alien prisoner imprisoned in a human body in 2022. Like, that's why I had to read it.
It's a mess.
Like,
it was such a ride.
What was this film? Like, there's so many things that were really good with it, and then it came in segments. So, like, in terms of, if you think of like with the waves crashing, it would be like really good as the waves come in, and then all of a sudden you'd be like, what is going on?
What is fucking happening? It was either great or confusing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any middle ground.
No, the comedy was hit and miss. Like, there were times where I was like, this is actually quite funny. Like, towards the later end, I feel like it found its feeding in terms of the slapstick kind of action, in terms of sort of kung fu hustle, that kind of stuff. Like, it was a little bit over the top.
Very much reminded me of Stephen Chow films. I was going to say that.
So, like, the two, I guess the husband and wife, I assume they were husband and wife, who were like traveling monks, or they went to the monk place, and when they ate the poison, and they were like frozen, and the bloke was like standing on their head and they couldn't move. Like, that was actually funny. Where before that sort of stuff, where the bloke was like randomly learning the techniques of these Shaolin monks, or whatever they were, the monks that had the wind power.
Some airbenders or some shit.
And he's like, haha, I learned it with just watching you. And he was like flicking people everywhere.
Yeah.
Well,
there was no reason. I was waiting. And that, I guess, what's worth mentioning is I didn't know it was going to be a two-parter film. I did not know that this was part 1 of, there was going to be a sequel or even a trilogy. I didn't know that going into it. And I guess there's still things I don't know what the fuck's happening. Like, is that guy, does he have some link to the future? And where did the dad go? And like, there was so many things happening, and there's about 10 minutes time. There's 10 minutes left in the runtime. I was thinking, how are they gonna wrap all this up in the next 10 minutes? Then it just ended on like a sort of a cliffhanger, and I felt so disappointed because it felt so long and confusing, and I know I'm going to watch the second and be just as long and confused. And I'm still going to enjoy elements. Some of the action scenes were so cool and so fun, and the amount of like super almost nostalgic like wire tricks and stuff, it was super like kung fu film at times, but I feel it felt like they had the concept of, we want robots and aliens and like firearms and kung fu, and we also want it set in like classic like Korea, and we want to try and there's just all these elements trying to play them together. and it was a mess. Like what the fuck they could what you call him, Thunder. He was a car, he was a robot, he was a little flying robot. He could take on clones, multiple clones of her dad, who is also an alien slash robot.
No, he was a guardian. So
Um,
he was the good guy, like the Terminator, who was there to
yeah,
protect. So
but is he not an alien as well then? Well, he's
no,
not from Earth.
technically he's AI. He's not an actual person like that.
I guess that is that loose term of alien. Does alien just mean another planet, or does it mean intelligent life, quote unquote? But you're right. Yeah, he wasn't alive. He was a robot. Yeah.
No, so like the person that they were both being was like the vision that they created to fit in with the human society because they were
Yeah.
placed there. And then I
Yeah, I
found
understand that.
Thunder to be like Max Steel. Do you remember that show in terms of the kid that gets the superpowers? You may not have, but
Yeah.
yeah, like that's what I envisioned him. Like he was a little bit quirky. He's like he fit
Yeah.
that stereotypical role of like the sidekick, and
Definitely.
he just sort of like carried on and helped
Poking
to
fun.
further the plot. Like I really liked it when he transformed into
Yes.
the other bloke in the pink suit.
The suave. Oh
And
my god, that
he's
scene was fucking hilarious. There's like a 3 minute strut through the streets. So ridiculous.
just to go pick up his like daughter, which he got told not to take at the start. I feel like we haven't explained anything. We've just jumped around, kind of like this is what
How
you're
do
going
we
to get with the
explain it?
movie. So
Yeah, it would. It's a
yeah,
fair. It's a fair. Like, hey, look, let's sort of reset and tell a little bit at the beginning. In the beginning, we have a robot and another robot,
two
sort of
robots.
like two robots, and they're doing a mission where they go back in time, to like the 1300s ish, and they kidnap. Well, they kill these aliens that these aliens have been put inside human brains as the ultimate jail because there's nothing can escape the human consciousness. That's this idea, and that to me is really cool. I really, as you may have seen with Nope, I really like new and interesting takes on aliens. That was kind of cool. Our brains are like the ultimate jail. Sure,
At least they weren't cloth manta rays.
sure, yeah. And but then there's also they can sort of break out of our brains for up to 5 minutes, and I hate plot conveniences like that, but whatever. So then there's these two robots, and they kill an alien who's trying to escape brain jail, and they also have to look after this child, or they don't have to, but they bring it back to the future with them, and then they raise it more or less as their own to sort of help fit in, which I mean makes sense. And then we get this girl's growing up and she's like really smart. And I didn't mind. Normally, I hate when kids are like the grounding character when they learn because they dumb things down and they have to over explain things. They definitely didn't do that. They
They
definitely
kind
didn't
of
over
needed
explain.
to though.
Yeah, I kind
It
of wish
would
they
have been
did. But because she was smart, she didn't feel dumb. I mean, obviously, but like she didn't feel like a child because she felt like more of like a teenager grounding. Anyway, so as the plot sort of continues, the plot in quotes, we're going back and forth between the 1300 sort of time period. We're following this airbender guy, monk, fighter, whatever he is. We're also in the future following robot dad slash other robot who can also clone into dad. And then we learn that they they go back in time to what, escape the alien bad guy, but yet they
Uh,
bring the alien bad guy with them.
yeah, by accident because they were running from it and he was chasing when they got flicked off the cliff. It caused a riff in time. So that's
Yeah,
what because he was the random like blood red cell that was floating that sort of he had
the
to
harbor.
burst. Yeah, so he had to burst that to be able to bring out the sleeper agents or
Mm-hmm.
unleash the brain jail for their
Yeah,
comrades. And that caused a riff in time, which then sent them back. But the guy that had the magic or whatever, the swordsman, he I'm pretty confident that he was actually had one of those symbiotes in them, and that's why he didn't actually want to let it go because he wanted to keep his memories intact, and
yeah,
that's
something like that.
he was the old guy at the end, and then
Yeah,
you just have this really cool sci-fi entrance at the start. Like the sci-fi and the computer generated stuff was really cool. Like
yeah,
they did really well with that considering I had absolutely no idea what this company or anyone in this actual.
Nothing.
You were like, let's watch this, and I'm like, sure. So I jumped in, and then you've got the blend of obviously the original like wire tricks and kung fu and whatever
Mm,
the Korean version is. But then you've got guns like the girl that eventually gets older because she gets sent back in time and grows up there. She
yeah.
has like a pistol, just you know, randomly in there, and she shoots a
Hmm.
lot considering there's like I don't know. I don't know how much ammunition she took with her,
Yeah.
but
Do not count bullets in this movie.
but like yeah, a lot of the scenes where they were going over the top, that's where it like
Mm,
sold me. Where when it was
hmm.
just the I guess the martial arts part where it was really
Yeah.
slow and they wanted the stylish like spins where it was like it was a delay like when
Yeah.
she was first fighting as an adult she was like doing spins and stuff and it was like at least a good pause where I was like that's a really cool 12 but let's move on
Hmm.
to a little bit more
Hmm.
action, or they just get thrown out of like ridiculousness. Where I like the little gadgets that the wife and husband had, where they had like the mirror where she could like
Yeah.
punch things through, and like it actually tied in. It wasn't just like a gimmick sort of laugh,
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
everything sort of did tie in. But I guess
I
because
like that payoff.
they set up how ridiculous the tone was throughout. It just didn't have the
Yeah.
payoff consistently enough for you to go, this is really
Yeah.
good. And I guess it makes more sense now in terms of how they ended it and allowing obviously another two movies or one movie to really
Hmm.
flesh that out. Because I was like, I'm not satisfied with this ending, or I have
No.
absolutely no grounding in terms of what you've done. But
And actually felt so long. Like the beginning was really fun and introducing all the characters and seeing all these really cool set pieces, really interesting. And in the end, it's probably the most confusing part, but I guess it kept it interesting because it was sort of tying the stories together. But the middle, when we're just jumping back and forth and we're just seeing like characters interact and we're losing a lot of the style. Like I think if this movie was just made up of those stylistic moments and we had an end payoff, just one tidy film, this would have been like a 4.5. Like this was so fun at times, and there was so much confusion at other times. I was never bored. I'll give it that, but wasn't always entertained either. There were times where I'm sort of just like waiting for the next scene to start.
yeah, that's very fair. Like yeah, it was it was long, confusing,
Mm.
stylish, and look, I am interested in the next one in terms
Yeah,
of where it goes.
I'll
But
watch it.
like,
And the better
yeah,
will be a third. If they're going for a trilogy,
they're going for a trilogy.
please, I
They're
really don't
going.
want that. I really like I do and I don't. I think it was kind of fun to have some really obvious nods toward some Stephen Chow films, like you said, Kung Fu Hustle before. Like I think that like punching through the mirror and having the hand explode and stuff, it's totally like taken, and that's fine. It's inspired by and also a lot of Matrix inspiration. And there's a lot of these really funny moments, but I think because it was all these things mashed together, it was just I don't know. It was a complicated mess, and either I had a really fun time or I had a really bad time. Um, but
Do you
it
reckon
was
they
it was a
went?
movie.
Do you reckon they went It was probably a little bit too obvious, but the good guys in terms of aliens, they were blue, and they always had blue like energy and ships, and the bad
Yeah,
guys
of
were
course.
red,
Yeah,
and they looked very very similar. Like I would like a little bit more of explaining for that, considering our
yeah.
Terminator, whatever he was, the dad and the alien, they were like clones that were different colors fighting each other.
Hmm.
I was like,
Yeah,
well,
got a bit Michael Bay-ish at times. Just
yeah,
messy action.
like when they were flying the ships in the actual city, and he's like, humans are getting
Oh,
in the crossfire. All right,
yeah, and they're like, okay, we'll just yeet up toward the sky. Like, what do you think of that a second ago? He does mention though, I have no what's he say? I have no
he doesn't care about him. He's
duty
just there to
over
protect.
humans. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I'm not here for humans. I have no worry about humans. I really fucking the big alien, like the bad guy ship, when they're in the undercover car park, like underground car park. I love
Oh, when
how
it's
it
like
was
destroying
not
everything.
phased by human physics. Like it just underground. So cool and like domineering. And I like the alien design. I think in all they looked they looked humanoid enough to be able to walk around in the atmosphere in that, but they also felt um sort of like just scary and not human because they had no sort of facial features and stuff. I think they're pretty cool. I think, yeah.
Is that what they called alienoids? Because
Did
they're
they even
close
give
to
him a name?
humanoids. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Got
Yeah.
it.
I don't know. I
That's
think
why
in
it's on the nose, mate.
there's your subtitles as well. When they introduce the who also we get a reveal at the end that she's like an agent or something. The friend's mum who was like hitting on the dad. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When
She was
they
the
introduced
auntie.
her, yeah, the auntie. That's right.
Yeah.
When they introduced her, her name sounds like Alien.
No,
Was
I
that
didn't get
her?
that one. Yeah.
In my subtitles, it came up with her name in like South Korean, and then it said in brackets, sounds like Alien, and that's why they're like, yeah, that's a weird name to name me, isn't it? Yeah, that's a weird name.
What? So
Like,
spoilers for the next film. She's
yeah.
the
Oh, did you
alien.
not see after the credits there was like a little 1 minute what's happening next time on Dragon Ball Z sort of moment? Do you see that or
Nah,
not?
I didn't get that far.
Ah,
I got the
no shit.
credits and went, well, that's 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I watched a little bit longer, and they did like a little coming next time sort of thing. It was like a little minute montage of what's going to happen in the next movie, and she's like an agent. She has like a gun, and she jumps out from behind a barrel. But just when they jump in time with when the but the car is dragging him behind, and they jump back in time, she jumps out at that point. She's like, "Oh, I missed him" or whatever.
Oh,
So
okay.
she's somehow entwined in the story, and I don't know. I'm so confused, but I had a good time. I'd never want to see it again, but I also would. I don't know. I'm so I was trying to think today about what I would even like star it, and I've fluctuated so much. So I would like you to go first.
I
Um,
I'm down the middle. Like I enjoyed it. It had moments, but it also was like just an absolute mess at times.
mhm.
So for me, it's like I'm being generous just to how stylish it was and like
Yeah.
how it's left a lasting impression. Like
Yes.
originally, I'd probably go probably 2 to 2.5, where just due to how much it actually made me think in terms of what in the hell's just happened.
Yes.
Movies don't do that too often in
Mhm.
terms of like you thinking about them. So for me, I have upgraded it just due to
Yep.
how stylish and interesting it was in terms of its take. So it was a 3 out of 5 for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm on board. I was watching the whole time, like easily four and a half. Like I'm having a great time. This is awesome. Then the end, I walked away dirty. I was like, boo, and getting all shitty. And I was like, nah, it's a one, it's a two. And then I think since then, like you've said, I've thought about it some more, and there were parts I really enjoyed, and there are parts I'm probably going to go back and rewatch. And I think three is about right. Yeah,
Not rewatching it. Just going
that's
straight to the
fair.
other one.
Yeah, no, that's fair. All
uh,
right.
all right.
Do you want to get
Now
straight
for
into
the $26 billion episode or whatever it is,
uh
26 million. You gotta be pumped for it. Like
just
it was Friday was a mad binge just to get those 2 episodes out. Like
yeah.
it was
I had a good time.
stylish. Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
for
It
both episode 1 and 2.
I think so. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
I I liked it. I had really liked it. Do you want me to start by just introducing sort of what's going on and the story and characters and stuff?
Yeah,
Do we get
take us
straight into
away.
my thoughts? Okay, sure. So we watched Rings of Power. It's set, I don't know time wise, but it's set well before the Lord of the Rings trilogy, right? Like hundreds of years. I actually don't know. Ryman, do you know?
No, you keep talking.
Okay. So we're going back. We're following Galadriel, and I only got the names wrong because they pronounce them Elvish and whatever. But we start by following Galadriel, and she's out to avenge her brother's death. who was killed. Now I can't remember if her brother was killed by Morgoth or her brother was killed by Sauron. But I know Morgoth's dead, and she's now avenging his death by hunting Sauron, or Sauron, and she's sort of going to the ends of the world to do this and putting other people at risk and whatever. So we're seeing that sort of conflict. We also introduced to Elrond, which is Hugo Weaving's character in Lord of the Rings. We see him as a younger elf, remembering that in this world, elves live for like 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 years, like thousands of years. And Elrond's a young, handsome man, as all elves are, and he is sort of more straight and narrow than she is. She's sort of out for revenge, where he's sort of following the crown and doing what's right. So when they meet, it's sort of decided by the king, or whatever the elf high lord is, I think is the king, that there's no more fighting. The orcs are all done. We haven't seen them in forever. They're going to close down all the sort of watchtowers and outposts, and everyone can go back and chill out in Elfland. And Galadriel bails. She jumps off the ship. At the end of the first episode, we see her sort of dive away from that push, and she's going to keep following her revenge arc, I guess. So that's sort of what the elves are cracking on. We're also following Arondir. Arondir is, I don't know, he wasn't really I don't know who the hell he is, but he's another elf who was on an outpost. He has fallen in love with a human or a commoner or whatever. I'm not sure if they're called humans or what, but he's fallen in love with a commoner woman, and there's a bit of conflict because elves are, there's a bit of racism, I guess, between elves and
you reckon?
regular folk. Yeah. So yeah, it's like a forbidden love sort of thing, and she's sort of like insulted and whatnot around her little village. But her son has, and we don't know what this is yet, but he has the hilt, or the bottom half or part of a blade, a sword, that has the same mark that Sauron left on Galadriel's brother.
It
And we
sort
know
of
that's
looks
something.
very similar to the old guards that he has, the blokes that fly around in Lord of the Rings.
The Nazgul.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looks very
And
similar to them.
there's a bit of rumor I've heard online that her son is going to become a Nazgul because of that whole thing. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, but her son's being a little shit and hiding this for some reason. I don't know why he's not just being upfront and like telling Arondir that he's got this super powerful, scary looking weapon, especially
Well,
after he's attacked by an orc.
yeah, he has a personality shift though. Like when you first see
Mm-hmm.
him, he's like sort of innocent, and then when he actually
Yeah.
does finally get it, you can see right at the end of the second episode, he's like ready to go. Like he's kind of a bit possessive, kind of like how Gollum is when he goes with
Yeah.
the ring. So I'm assuming
Yeah.
it's got some corruption or something or other in terms of
Mm-hmm.
where that's going to go.
Definitely. And yeah, I'm curious to know where, like, because I think he'll be sort of, once those three often venture on their own, like you said, he'll be the Gollum, he'll be the Bilbo, turning sort of thing. He'll be a bit possessive or potentially dangerous, but I don't know. So far, it's just a little bit of a brat character.
Yeah,
Apart from sort of,
I don't know how he's going to hide it because right at the end of
mm,
that second episode, it starts to like increase, like the smoke comes around and increases slightly in size. How's he
yeah,
gonna hide an entire sword? It's not like
exactly.
he's got a heap of possessions considering everyone's
Yeah,
legging it and they just had to fight this massive like orc thing that came in.
yeah, no shit, no shit. Um, and the other third sort of story that's happening at the same time, there is a fourth, but that's sort of episode two. Is we also have, oh my god, I
Well,
have all the names. I've forgotten hers. Nori or
Nori, yep,
Nori. Nori is like
the half foot.
a half foot, but I'm guessing that's like an early Hobbit
Yeah,
because this is,
they're pre hobbits because we're in a prequel. That's why
yeah, yeah,
they haven't established hobbits yet.
and they're sort of like, they're sort of nomads. They they live in the land. They hide from like free folk. Although they consider themselves free folk, they hide from the regular folk. Um, and she, at the end of the first episode, like she's a bit of a rapscallion. She's the grounding character. She's learning about the world, and she wants to go out and adventure and be. There's much more beyond the forest and blah blah blah. Like she's that sort of character. Every adventure movie needs that. And she discovers a meteor, I guess, lands near her,
She doesn't
and she goes,
discover it. Everyone sees it. It's
well,
comes
but
flying in.
she's the first there, and there's a man
Isn't that
who,
a giant? It's not a regular
well,
man, is it?
they do say like, is it an elf? Is it a human? Are they meant to be
I
like,
thought
is
they
he
made
meant to be
reference to a
regular
giant.
size and he's that small? Well, they say giant, yeah.
Yeah, because
But
like
I'm
they
not sure
would.
if they're meant to be tiny because we haven't seen them next to any other regular folk.
True.
I don't know.
I guess you
Is
did
he
see
regular?
that you saw the quick like flash when the guys with the massive like antler things were walking. So you
Yeah.
did get like a slight comparison in terms of that's what you
Mm.
saw the
But they're
hobbits in
never
terms of.
on screen the same time. I don't know, but
No,
yeah,
I'm just
he
assuming
the
he's a
stranger.
yeah. I feel like he's a giant considering he fell from the sky, so he can be a giant. I'm just
And I
changing the
think
law.
it's too to me it's too obvious that it's Sauron. So I'm wondering if they're trying to make us think that it's Sauron and it's actually like I heard a rumor that some people think it could be Gandalf. Because he like whispered to the fireflies in the same way that Gandalf whispered to the moths when he was rescued by the eagles. Um, but it's also when they say when Galadriel goes to one of those outposts or whatever, and they're saying the fire doesn't burn hot because this place has so much evil. When Nori went to the meteorite, she mentioned the fire isn't hot. So that sort of leans the fact that he probably is Sauron. But I don't know, it feels too obvious, you know?
I don't know. I got money. He probably is. I reckon
Yeah,
he definitely is. But in terms of this show, like how good is the CGI? Like the budget and the
it's
set
gorgeous.
pieces are absolutely incredible. Like you can see
Yeah.
where all that money's gone. Like obviously Lord of the Rings and
Hmm.
the Hobbit's always been fantastic in terms of how they've established an atmosphere in the world building, and the set
Yep.
pieces have always been fantastic, and they've always been awesome at like showing the different races in terms of you've been showing the elves, you've been showing humans,
Hmm.
and like it's always really easy to pick and choose. Well, not pick and choose, but you can obviously visually see the differences between all the different races.
Yeah.
And
And the
like,
cultures feel rich.
yeah, and like you can
Yeah.
actually, the characters and the people playing them are actually able to get the cultural differences across, which is
Hmm.
generally hard to do considering obviously lots of people are trying to sort of play the same kind of character all at the same time, where
Yeah.
the elves obviously have their really rich lore and the humans are a little bit more wild, and the hobbits and the dwarves,
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
the first episode had the three storylines. So you obviously had Gladriel, she was being a badass. Like I really liked the intro. The intro was probably the my favorite of the
Yeah.
entire thing. Like that's world setting and just seeing her like off on her like revenge quest with her merry like
Yeah.
revenge go getters. That's what I really that's what I like. I wanted to focus on those guys,
Yeah.
like the D&D party of the murder hobos. Like off they go. They're
Hmm.
out for revenge. She's like is not going to take no for an answer.
Yeah.
And then when
Yeah.
they meet like the ice troll or whatever it was a snow troll, ice troll,
Yeah.
whatever
Whatever it was in
it
that
was.
first. Yep.
And
Yep.
like you can see they're struggling, and she just like flies in, like no hesitation, and absolutely
Yep.
destroys them. Like you're glad she's there because she's Gladriel, and that's why she got her name. So everyone was glad that she was there.
Oh, fuck off. My God. I can't with this.
That's how she that's how
Hurts
she got
so
her elven
much.
name. That's all right.
Oh,
I've been waiting on that one. But
my
she
God.
she was cool. Like that was
Yes, she was. I like her way more in this. I liked Lord of the Rings for sure.
she was by far the best storyline. And like the only weird part for me was when they were going towards that light
Hmm.
in the actual boat. Like all the elves, I don't know if it was like a just a cinematic sort of visual thing in
Yeah, I'm not
terms
gonna
of how
say.
and
Yep.
they're holding the swords down. And like you're going on a boat, boats aren't really stable. Like if you one wrong move, you're gonna stab yourself in the foot. Like what is the purpose of standing like that? I don't
I'm wondering if
understand.
it's meant to be like there's lore in D&D. I don't know if it's lore in Lord of the Rings, but I know it's lore in D&D that elves don't sleep. They go into like a trance like state where they're still conscious, but they're sort of in a trance. And I was wondering if that's what it was, like, because they were so weird the way they were standing, totally vertical, staring forward into the distance. But I guess that's elves. Like time passes weird for them. For them, it's probably like the same as us, sort of going out like vaguing into the distance. I don't know.
No, my problem was mainly with like you're gonna stab yourself in the foot like one wave and you're gone.
You and your ock health and safety again.
I don't know. It didn't seem like a logical way to hold your sword.
Yeah,
Like I know it was tradition or like ceremony, but like
of course.
regardless, like surely you've got a better way to do it. Like I don't quite understand it.
It was
Um,
weird. It felt a little watching that scene took me out of the movie a little bit because it felt a little silly. But
yeah.
I can see
I,
why I can sort of justify it.
I mean, yeah, it's set up for what it needed to do. And then
Yeah,
you've got the half feet. Like they didn't get that much screen time in the first episode, but like when
I
they were
wanted
on
more.
there, I actually quite liked it in terms of seeing how
Yeah.
they like pop up all their tent and like pack it all down. And like in my review on YouTube, I actually talked about how they reminded me of like the Viet Cong during the Vietnam War in terms
Okay.
of how they were able to like just hide their camps, like the smoke, how they were able to get the smoke to like just go on the ground level and like
Yeah.
the pop up tents and everything. Like it was really cool to see how they can just like pack
Hmm.
everything down 1 second, and as soon as everything's gone, it's like pop up and everyone's back into exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
Like
That was a really cool scene.
yeah, like it was really well thought out. The pacing was correct, and like just everything flew in terms of
Hmm.
how it needed to. And then the worst storyline was when the humans got introduced. Like I got bored
Yeah.
when you first got introduced to, is it Nor? It's not Nori, is it the elf dude, whatever his name is?
Oh, Arundel
Yeah,
and and
Arendelle.
and Bronwyn.
Yeah, it's like him trying to discover about a poison well. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's just really boring. Like
Arundia.
I can understand where they're going because I'm assuming based of what we've seen from episode 1 and 2 is that the orcs are poisoning the well or something
Yeah.
along that
Something.
line is obviously happening. And
Hmm.
like it's okay that set it up, but they spent far too long on that part. And I know they've got the forbidden love, like that always has to happen in the
Yep.
like Lord of the Rings. We have it as well. I got bored in that actual,
Yeah.
well, I guess storyline
I
where
agree.
the focus, but the music, it doesn't need to be dramatic all the time. Like the music was really good, but everything was dramatic in terms of how it built it up.
Yeah.
Like, like
And
have
I
that.
felt like second episode was the same with like the whole dwarf scene.
Oh, that
Like
was a
just kept.
waste of the dwarf scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he went in there to like is obviously re-establish, and we got that sort of backstory that they used to be really close friends, but he didn't go to the wedding, so he's a bit bitter. And I was
Yeah.
waiting for some more stone smashing or like some sort of contest, but he just gave up. I'm like, what are you doing, mate? You're now exiled.
Yeah.
And
And I
then
guess
we,
that was, got a little chat and whatever, and everything sort of worked out because it does for elves. But I feel like I'm gonna cop a lot of hate for this, but I find elves pretentious and therefore I can't relate. Like I find them annoying, and then even in their language, like I know that's part of the world, and like I said before, I like a rich culture, but their language, I struggle to. I need to like almost interpret it while I'm listening. I guess because I'm a dum dum. But I find elves kind of boring, and I find dwarves overdone and annoying. And as soon as there was any scenes where it was him hanging out with the dwarves, I wanted it to be over. I just wanted to get back to the stranger. My favorite scenes in episode 2 were anything to do with the stranger and Nori, because that was like probably the thing I was the most curious about, and his powers, and he felt scary, but also like childlike. Um, I want more of him, and I want more of those scenes. And the more scenes I got of the elves, the more sort of bored I got. Like I didn't get bored by any means, and I know I'm being a complainer, but they were my least favorite scenes. And yeah, that's all.
but we're glad you're here.
I'm not paying any attention to that.
It'll come back around. But what I really wanted, and we've got to see our first female dwarf, I believe. Like I think that's the first time we've seen a female dwarf. I can't recall seeing a
Uh,
female dwarf in all the other ones, but I was really curious to see if like all dwarves have beards. Like, do even the women have beards?
sure.
I kind of
Answer
wanted
is
to
no.
see. I wanted to see her with a beard. I feel like that would have been cool.
Right. Yeah,
But
yeah.
like that whole storyline, I just didn't care for. And you get to see the hammer with the elves. Like I was curious to see, is this sort of set in the period of Shadow of Mordor? You know, like the game where they build the towers
Yeah,
and stuff. Like, is it
yeah,
set
yeah.
in that environment? Considering obviously he runs around with the hammer and like
Yeah, I don't
does all
know
the
the
back and
timeline.
forth. It says that this is actually set in the second age of Middle Earth, and I have no idea in terms of what happened in the
Yeah.
first age or the second age or
Where's
the third
Tex?
age. Yeah, just whatever. But
We
it is
we
what
need
it
Tex
is.
in here to correct us. That boy knows Lord of the Rings back to
Oh, he
front.
loves it. And like your favorite part with Nori and the mystery man, I didn't really care for that much. Like it felt
Okay.
like they've got him in a wheelbarrow, and I was like, there's still this is the same kind of like we've got a stranger, we're going to keep him secret, and then all of a sudden they're going to find out it's going to come into. It just felt
Hmm.
really generic. I just didn't care for
Yeah.
him. I was like, let's move on for that. Where when it actually, my favorite part was obviously when the troll came in
Hmm.
into the house with what was it, Poppy and Brenda or
Oh,
whatever
the
her name
orc.
was. Yeah, the orc.
Poppy and Brenda. Onwin,
Yeah, that's the one.
Arendir,
That's the
and
one. Yeah,
Child, who I've forgotten.
yeah. So the orc comes in, and I'm like, all right, let's see how they sort of deal with this, and you can
Mm.
see how strong and how much of a physical difference there is.
Oh yeah.
But like one of them gets thrown across like the room a couple of times, and it just pushes that massive table. Like there was some inconsistencies, but I liked
Yeah.
how they were like scrounging for their lives. Like it
Hmm.
was, we need to do something. Like whatever's on hand, we're going to like
Yeah.
do to be able to do like
It
survive.
felt lucky in a way. Like even though they won, it felt like it was lucky that they did.
Yeah,
I still felt scared. I
yeah.
like that.
And the we Gladriel, like her part, I also felt like it was a disappointment after the build up we had at episode 1, like where she's obviously swimming for her life and just
Mm.
like well shipwrecked really, and
What the fuck was her plan? I'm sorry, I'm interrupting again. What was
swim
her
to
fucking
shore.
plan? Just swim? Fuck. Damn,
Yeah,
she's an elf.
side stroke. That's how you go to like survival, and that was
Initial
her
thought.
plan.
Sorry.
That's what she had. She was on her like revenge and a revenge crew. She just needed to like get there. But then there was like the sea beast that did like one pass by and was like, nah, see you later,
Mhm.
guys. And then they just got rescued. I was like, all right,
Well,
cool.
no, the sea beast ate like 4 people, and then was like, okay, I'm full. Bye.
Yeah, and just liked it. I was like, I didn't care about those people anyway, though. It
Well,
was
yeah.
like it never felt like she was that much in danger. Like I know she's got plot armor, but it was like
Yeah,
let's get her on her way to be able to do her
definitely.
quest to like revenge, and that's what I wanted. Where the second episode was actually worse for me, considering like I didn't enjoy the second episode as much as the first. The
At
first, I
all.
felt, yeah, I felt like the first one, besides the human poison well, which I didn't care for, was really good. That's like
Yeah.
the tone and the setting that I wanted in terms of that grand scale fantasy. I don't want
Hmm.
someone investigating a poison well. I don't care. I want Gladriel to come in and start like chopping limbs off a snow troll and stuff. I don't care about poison well. Like I know it was a setup for a story plot that needs to probably come along, and I don't care about a mystery man that's being kept by a little half foot pre hobbit. Like
Can
let's
I
get
just
the grand
compare that
scale.
to when we watched the first 2 episodes of House of Dragons?
Mm-hmm.
You preferred the second episode, even though it didn't have any sort of action pieces, whereas the first episode did. In this setting, you say you prefer the first because it had those moments. Please explain.
Okay. So I base my, I guess, my liking to is it furthering the plot in terms of can I see the characters like setting up for something really big in terms of I
Sure.
really like where this character's going and I like
Hmm.
what's going to happen. Like I can make a prejudgment of what I want in terms of like House of Dragons had Damon like plotting, and I can see that he's going to have a number of massive points, which we'll talk about in episode 3. And
Yeah.
like Gladriel, like you can see she is on a quest for revenge. And like I like that in any video game, that's a winner for me. Like we've got
I
the
know you
big
do.
bad and we know what
Yep.
we're after. And I am a simple man. I like to lift heavy things. I like to
And
make
kill bad
bad
guys.
jokes. Yeah, I like to kill bad guys. And I would be part of her murder crew. Like I'd follow her where
Sure.
the second episode didn't have that sort of like plot movement that I want. It was more about that setting and the mystery man. Like they're setting up for that mystery that I'm
Hmm.
not really that far into it. Like I don't have the backlog of like lore that you probably need to really get the most out of this. Where I want more action, I want them to further the plot of revenge, and I want to see what's going to happen in terms of that epic grand fantasy. Like I want that hook where that's just not
Okay.
quite there. Where like you made reference to House of Dragons, like I can see where that's going. I can see how it's building towards the final confrontation that we're gonna
Hmm.
obviously have. That's what I
Hmm.
like. Where this
Hmm.
just didn't have that sort of epicness leading to it.
And I think, yeah, I think maybe also because Game of Thrones has set up a different tone than Lord of the Rings set up. Lord of the Rings set up a epic combat, huge world war sort of thing, whereas Game of Thrones, while they do have those combats and whatever else, I feel like they set up more of a political intrigue tone and sort of that sort of under the table sort of dealings rather than massive big combat scenes. So maybe that's sort of because because like Lord of the Rings, I couldn't imagine the political intrigue and intertwining family stories and stuff that we have in Game of Thrones. What we want are, we want to see $500 million get spent on a TV show. I figured out, sorry, just while I'm on that, because they had to also buy the rights, the Tolkien rights for 250 million.
Oof.
So all in, somewhere between 800 million to 1 billion. It's around about 2 million generously, because it's probably more, 2 million a minute.
2
Every
million a
minute
minute.
of screen
Wow.
time is about $2 million spent. That is, I mean, no TV show I have ever seen look and feel as much like a movie. Like Game of Thrones got close at times, but not like every episode, or two so far, but both episodes have felt like movies, short movies. Um, I like they look stunning.
Yeah, it's by
And
far the best looking TV show I've seen.
oh, hands down. I am actually a little bit annoyed that I didn't watch this in cinemas. I know some people who did got like advanced screenings and stuff, and I would have preferred that because it would have been incredible. Um,
Just with that epic
Anywho,
music that's coming in, everything's dramatic.
it is very dramatic. And there was sort of overkill at times, but I don't know. I still loved it. I still had a really good time. I enjoyed number two, the second episode. I think like thinking back, I guess because I was watching back to back, I sort of put them together in my mind a little bit. But I mean, number one definitely had better moments, and there were more moments of boredom really in the second. Um, but I still had a good time. I still am actually more excited for episode three than I thought I was going to be. So that's a good thing.
What would you give it?
Um, are we going to do like episode by episode, or are we
Nah,
going
put
to do
them
like
together
just how we're feeling together so
because
far?
we watched them back to back. So
So
get
far,
it.
it's a four. So
Oh,
far, together, both episodes. If it's a 2 hour movie, it's a four. I'm excited for quote unquote the sequel.
okay.
Yeah, it's good.
All right. Yeah. Well, the first episode, if I was doing it just by itself, it would have been much higher.
Hmm.
But with the second one coming in, which unfortunately hindered it, and the poison well that I do not care about, it's
Yep.
tokenish. Like it's okay. Where
Tolkien-ish.
tokenish. That's right. I've been holding that one too.
Bullshit. I thought of that one.
No,
You
you
fucking.
didn't. So it's yeah, for me it's a three. Like I am still
Okay.
interested in where this show's going to go, but I'm not like super hyped in terms of this is going to be that sort of epic trilogy that Lord of the Rings was. Like I know
No.
we've got what 9 episodes, so there's another what
Hmm.
8 hours or whatever it is to go. like
Yeah.
quick maths. But yeah, like I I want that real sort of epicness where I'm not getting that at the moment. Like even the
Yep.
Hobbit had that grand scale. Like obviously Bilbo's in there and they're taking on the
But did
like
Fellowship?
I believe so. Like Fellowship, in terms of they're on that massive grand scale adventure, and that massive fight scene at the end for me was fantastic. Like I really liked the build up, and they gave me that service that I wanted at the end. Like I really liked it.
Yeah, but
You got the
this is
emotional
2 hours into potentially 10, and Lord of the Rings is potentially 10.
payoff.
In the first 2 hours of Fellowship, did you get that?
I
Like a
believe
little bit,
so.
maybe?
How much was?
Okay.
How long? What's the runtime of the first film?
Like three and a bit.
I don't think it's three. I think it's two and a bit.
2.45. Let's have a look. I'm looking it up. Fellowship
Because you still get that payoff. Like you can
runtime.
see where it's building to. Like after 2 hours, I still
Two
don't know.
minutes shy of 3 hours, my friend.
Like I knew where Fellowship was going though. Like we were already out on our adventure. We're still not out on our adventure. We're just
Yes, I do
nowhere.
think that we should have at this point, but that's why I think 3 episodes. I think 3 episodes. If by next episode we're still not getting answers to questions we already have, by episode 3 we should be answering questions and asking new ones. And you're right. If by the next episode we are still sort of pondering around in different locations and sort of just showing us things, I'm not going to probably watch anymore. But I'm really hoping, and I'm staying positive that they're going to ramp things up in the next episode and hopefully treat this like sort of three mini trilogies and do like 3, 6, and 10 the climaxes. But we'll see.
I
We
hope
will
so.
see.
Yeah.
Really hope so.
So
But it
I
will be.
guess
It's going to be a fight and a win. It's so far. It's not enough to be the next Game of Thrones or the next Breaking Bad or whatever. It's not enough. They need to
yeah.
ramp it up.
They need
Yep.
something. So moving on from one big TV show to the next.
Yeah.
House of Dragons, episode 3. Episode title is Second of His Name.
Yep.
Yep. So what are we're skipping we do a time skip pretty
Yep.
quickly. Like it's about 3 years. Like we're pretty much presented on the day of the king's new heir. So he married the High Tower girl, which was the
Alicent.
best friends of his daughter, Princess Ray.
Yeah.
And the opening scene, like I was blown away by the opening scene. I'm like, this is what I want. We're finally getting it. Like the opening scene is where you got the
Oh,
dragon flying in,
yes.
you've got the
Yes.
crab feeder, and I'm like, here
Yes.
we go. Like he's wrecking things, and
Super
obviously
surprised.
it's like come into a head in terms of they're finally at war in terms of the crab feeder and the Lannisters are at it.
Yep.
I'm like, this is going to be incredible. Like you get to see the crabs crawling in, you get to see the brutality of old mate. You actually get to see him in like the first full shot, or like you get to see a face reveal with the mask.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, he looks incredible. Like he still
Phantom
hasn't
of the
uttered.
Opera.
Yeah, like he.
Did you see that? Phantom of the Opera? He looks so much like
Yeah.
Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Crabs.
Phantom of the Crabs.
I
Crabs of
was,
the Opera? Sorry.
yeah, whatever. He's
I
just
digress.
he's just pinching at it. So like he was really cool. He didn't utter a word, but he was just absolutely in like domineering in terms of you seeing that guy like just absolutely spitting like hatred at the crab feeder, and he's just
Yeah.
the crap out of him, just absolutely
Yeah.
him. Well, that was really cool. And then the real quick,
Damon comes in.
yeah, and
Sorry. I
the
just
quick,
love how Damon comes in. Oh, sorry, fuck.
oh,
Go.
whoa, where they jump cut straight from that scene. I'm like, I'm hooked already. Like I'm in for
Yeah.
this ride. But then they jump cut to obviously the king and his new son's birthday on his second name day. And then we're back into that political like back and forth where we're building to our sort of foreshadowed, I guess, confrontation where I felt like the time skip was too much in terms of where it has that payoff, but I do kind of like it. It's kind of, I guess, a good and a bad. Like it pays in towards the end, but then it also
Yep.
hinders. Well, no, it actually hindered the ending for me But throughout, I didn't really care about the intrigue or like politics that were going on. Like obviously, Princess Ray's having a bit of a hard time dealing with the best
Yeah.
friend that is now obviously her stepmom slash like queen, and like the power dynamic is really a
Oh,
struggle.
I did love that scene with the bard and the princess is like, keep playing. Your queen orders you to stop. Like, trumped, bitch. Like, how much power Alicent is just asserting. Good on her.
Yeah, so like obviously that would put a massive strain on your friendship, especially
Hmm.
you're now carrying your father's second
Yeah.
child. Like that
Yeah.
would it's a weird setup for like everyone involved.
Yeah. It's
And
rough.
I quite liked how now everyone is now instead of throwing wives or like daughters at the king, they're now throwing sons at the king
Yeah.
for the daughter. Like it's everyone is just out for themselves. Like that's what we kind of
Hmm.
expected. I like the shift in tone in terms of the king sort of and ahhing, and now he's a bit more like, yeah, you this will be good. And then he does have that arc towards like the end of the episode in terms of he's like, you can love whoever you want.
Yeah. But
So
that's Alicent's word, and which means it's Otto's word. Like, I still don't feel like she's gonna have either she'll pick who she wants and it'll be still be bad news, or she still won't totally get what she wants. I don't know. Even
uh,
how she left straight away, um, the King Viserys was like had this little look down and look up, like this little sly look.
yeah, and then we get our
Mm.
introduction into the Lannisters as well. So
Yeah,
like the Lannisters, and I can't remember what his name was, but the Knight Lannister makes Jamie,
I've forgotten.
Jason, something starts with a J. He makes friends with obviously with Ray, and they go off on, well, she like legs it out, doesn't she? She like gets on her horse and legs it, and he like
Hmm.
jumps on and is like chasing her down. And then
That's not
there's
a
this,
Lannister that chased her down.
yeah, that's him, isn't it?
No, no, no. The Lannister was the guy who was back giving the weapon to the king.
Oh, who was the other one? Was that Hightower,
The
was
other
it?
guy, no, no, the other guy was the guy that the no name guy who she hired onto the King's Guard in the second episode. The guy who had combat experience but didn't have any titles or family
Ah,
names or anything.
he's the one that fought Damon, wasn't it? Where he
Uh,
knocked him off the horse. And that because that in the second episode, that's the one
yeah, they
on the
have that
stone
banter.
tower.
I've lost track a little bit there, but he because he even says to Rhaenyra, because she's talking about how she doesn't have actually any power and blah blah blah. Like if I get to make my own decisions, and he says, um, "I'm nothing without you. Like you've given me everything that I have to my name."
Yeah, yeah,
That's
that
a lot
makes
of
more sense.
power.
Yeah,
So yeah, he's not a Lannister. I also think he's gonna be the person. Like they're kind of setting up a bit of a meet cute there. I think he might be the person that Rhaenyra wants to get with, but his doesn't have the family name or anything. Like I still feel like even though she gets to quote unquote choose, I think she needs to choose from selected number of suitors, sort of thing.
yeah. In terms of standing,
Um, yeah, like I don't think she'll get to choose a nobody, even though the king did. I just don't see it happening.
and then old mate who was like the sea serpent son. So I didn't know he had a son. I thought he
I
had.
think it was. I think it was his nephew, or was it actually his son?
They
Because
said
there was the
son.
brother. Oh, okay, I couldn't. I didn't know if it was Corlys's son or Corlys's brother's son.
No, he definitely said son. I'm not sure
Oh,
which
okay,
one, but like
I
he,
lost track. Yeah,
at least he was honest. But I feel like he's obviously working behind the scenes as well. Like he
but
seemed
he
a
was
bit.
riding a dragon, right?
The son
Was he
was,
the
yeah,
one we saw riding a dragon?
yeah, yeah. At the end, so obviously after the random like boar attack that came after Queen Ray, and she just went
Mm,
nuts and they stabbed it, and she just walked back in, just like didn't care about
badass
anything. Yeah,
look. Yeah,
like it was
it's cool.
cool. It's set up, but
Yeah.
then we finally get into that confrontation that we've been waiting for, where the time skip for me actually hindered this entire moment. Like this entire scene, I felt would have been way better if we actually had the backstory of how the crab feeder and obviously Damon and the sea serpent were like going back and forth. Like this wasn't the first meeting that they've had, like because the crab feeder has been
Oh, you mean like the
attacking.
end conflict?
Yeah, so like the crab
Right.
feeder
Sorry,
has
I'm
obviously
not sure.
been a thorn in their side for the past
Yeah.
like 3 years. Like I
Yeah.
wanted more of seeing how intimidating or
Yeah.
how clever he is, where it's just all of a sudden
Hmm.
we're into that final conflict where I did like how they were like, we are kind of at a stalemate. We need someone to risk their lives. Where it was like Damon being the person that was like, it's
Yeah.
always against him. Like he's willing to throw his life into those situations to show
Yeah.
that he's
Yeah.
worthy to rule, to like lead, to be able to
And
go
he'd
into these
rather do that
situations.
than accept his brother's ships. Like he could have waited, and there were 10 ships coming to help him, and they would have taken it, no worries. But he's just like, nah, fuck that. I'm running straight in, head first, taking on an entire army by myself, taking arrows to the chest, and still marching forward. And like, I'm sorry if you want to, do you want to keep going, or can I
There you go.
reveal the coolest part? I loved, like, we didn't need to see him fight the crab feeder. The crab feeder probably isn't that good of a fighter. I think he's better at commanding potentially. But we just see Damon go into a cave, and then he comes out dragging the upper torso of crab feeder with like entrails hanging out, just drags it through the water. It looks a little light, but whatever. Um, and just like throws it down. Like, what a reveal! Damon's so sick. Every scene he's in is my favorite scene of the episode. Like, he's commanding the screen. He's so fun.
Yeah, he's incredible. But that's for me, that scene was also good and bad, like at the same time, because I wanted that emotional payoff for him to be like, yeah, I finally got you. This is like my moment.
Yeah.
Where they didn't get that just due to obviously missing 3 years of what had happened
Hmm.
throughout.
Hmm.
Where if they had that emotional like payoff or at
You're
least
right.
explain some of it, like that would have been an incredible scene. Like it's good, but it could
Hmm.
have been incredible in terms of where they went and that emotional payoff to seeing Damon finally like overcome the person who's been
Yeah.
hindering him for so long. Like
Yeah.
he
Because they
he
say
would
like, sorry. They say you know, they oh, fuck, what their words. I'm trying to think the exact words. They say something along the lines of, we can't win this. We're losing. This is a losing battle. Like they tell us, but they don't show us. They don't show us that they're losing. How are they losing? I don't get it. They're in the enemy's inside a cave, just bunkered out. You have an entire infantry, and they're just some guys in some robes. Um, and you have dragons. I don't understand how you're not just marching there and messing them all up. Is it just numbers? Was it
yeah,
really
they did
said?
say, yeah, they did say they were, it was numbers, but they had to wait. Was it, I think it was weeks for the ships to come, and they only had enough rations for 14 days or a month if they went like real scarce on rations.
Oh, oops, I missed that part.
Yeah, so they were in like a stalemate in terms of how they were going to survive this, and that's why they needed that like suicidal run for Damon to go on.
I thought it was Damon like getting shitty at his brother and be like, "No, fuck you, I don't need your help. Watch me."
It's a bit of both. Like that obviously has
Sure.
that plays into it, but they needed someone, and the Sea Serpent and the council in there, they knew they needed
Hmm.
someone, but they didn't. Obviously, they weren't willing to risk their lives to be able to go in there.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
obviously Damon walks up, and because the catalyst as well was the messenger bloke who like randomly gives him the message and
Yeah.
just beats the crap out of
Beats
him
the
with the
shit out of him.
helmet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, I actually found when he was actually in that scene, I found it a little bit disorientating in terms of how many people they were trying to show at the same time. So that when Damon was running and you're seeing the arrows come in, like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was, I'm not sure if it was just a mistake in terms of how many things were going on at the same time, but I felt like
Hmm.
they showed archers shooting from left to right and then right to left. I know there's different sides, but then they were switching back to the reveal of the full body reveal of the crab feeder, and he didn't say a
Yeah.
word. Like he was pretty intimidating considering he
Hmm.
didn't say any words. But like just in terms of how many camera shots they had going on, like I just felt it was a little bit too disorientating. Like I
Yeah.
still liked it, but I was a little bit disorientated of like who was shooting where and what was going
Yeah.
on in terms of
Yeah.
what was
Yeah.
happening. And
And
then
Damon felt too like, yes, he's meant to be a really good fighter, but we see shots of dozens of men rushing in, and then it's him with one guy stab, and then shots of dozens more men rushing in, and then one guy stab. It just felt like you said. It felt like a little bit of disconnect. And he felt way too powerful. How are there 30 or so archers, trained archers, not just some guys on the street who grabbed a piece of wood with put the string around it? Trained archers. How are they losing that many arrows and missing and missing and missing? Like, I don't like when characters just have that much plot armor.
Oh,
Felt
he's
a little
got plot
silly.
armor.
Yeah,
Like he could run
of course he
anywhere.
does.
But he did get shot, so like credit to him, they actually
He
did
did.
show, but it didn't hinder
Yes.
him in any shape or form. Like it hurt him, but he was like,
I
no
was.
worries.
It was like really hurt and slow 1 second, and then you see him sprinting into the cave. It felt so strange, but okay, he's up and running. I
I
guess
mean,
the adrenaline or whatever.
yeah,
But
adrenaline will kick in, but that would only get
yeah,
you so far. I guess that's
my
that. What
favorite scenes of the whole episode though were the ones with the king, and you're watching him sort of. You can see heavy head is the one that wears. What's the saying? Heaviest is the head that wears the crown. Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Yep.
And just how much he's suffering in that he named his daughter. He can't go back on his word, but at the same time, he's also had a son and potentially another one. Like he's just suffering in this situation. You see, he's missing some fingers as well.
Yep.
And like he is not having a good time. And the scene where he's like sitting on the not the throne, but he's sitting on that like upper stool and he's drinking, and there's like an overarching over shoulder shot where it's looking at the crowd and there's just silence and just sort of seeing, even though he's at such a position of power and he is the man, he gets to make no decisions really, and he's hating it, and I really enjoy seeing that sort of that turmoil of everyone thinks that the ultimate goal is to be on the throne, but when you're there, shit sucks, and he's not having a good time.
The grass is always greener.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm liking that, but I do. The next episode, I'm not sure if you saw, because I watch it on binge. I'm not sure how you watch it, but
Yeah, I watched it on
on
binge as well.
oh sure, at
Yeah.
the end they had like that 1 minute preview of
Mhm.
what's to come. They're doing another massive time skip now, and we're completely changing actors. Alicent's a new actor. Rhaenyra is a new actor. Heaps of all the I think it looks like we're jumping forward probably 10 years. I'm nervous, I guess, because I connect characters with actors, and I'm worried that I'm going to lose a bit of connection with Alicent and Rhaenyra, and I'm not sure who else they're going to do it with, because even that young knight, whatever, I keep forgetting his name, but the young knight guy that she was in the woods with, is he going to time skip as well? I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens, but
How's he not going to time skip if everyone is aging?
well, no, they're obviously time skipping, but are they going to change his actor? Is my point.
They'd have to if everyone else is, surely.
Yeah,
Well,
not everyone is. Only like the teenage characters are
right.
changing,
Okay.
and like the child actors.
Okay. I guess we'll see.
So
That's
yeah,
a concern.
just
Yeah.
because I'm a dum and I worry about how I'm going to feel because I'm being selfish and I can only watch the movies through my own lens.
That's true.
And I'm going to struggle if I disconnect with the characters because there's a character change or whatever. It's like have you watched Black Sails?
Only the first half of the first season.
Oh,
Never.
okay. At the end of season 1 and the beginning of season 2, they change over one of the actors, and it totally changes his character. It totally shifts the way his character sort of feels. So I just don't want that, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. What would you give the episode though?
4.
4?
Yeah, it was a 4, 4.5.
Yeah.
It was as good as the first, I reckon. Had a good
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it's just that emotional disconnect for me. Like I really wanted that payoff for Damon and the crab feeder. I'm pretty close to 4. It's like 3.5, 4. So
yeah,
I'm happy with that. Like I was really engaged throughout. Like I did enjoy it, but that emotional payoff just hinders that moment for me.
Yeah.
It's the
I
crab
actually didn't think
feeder.
about that. You're right though, because it would have been cool to have sort of seen the crab feeder and him like cat and mouse a little bit, trying to catch him, and he weasels his way out of it, and we finally get that payoff of him. That would have been such a cool, an even cooler scene, dragging him through the water if we'd seen that back and forth. But you're right, like the crab feeder was a threat one episode and then gone the next.
Yeah, like real quick too. But
Mm, mm.
that the pace of the show is like rapid in terms of
Oh
episode
yeah,
1, 2, and then we're into 3 year time scale. We went what 6 months, 3 years, and then we're going 10 years.
oh yeah.
That's very
Uh,
quick, and I'm
How are they
concerned
going to do this?
with
Sorry, continue.
season 2. Like, what are they going
Mm,
to do
that's
with
my
like
question. Yeah,
with so much time skipping? What are they going to do? Run out of time? Are they going to take it right up to where Game of Thrones started?
I am wondering that because the opening credits is the full Targaryen family tree. I do wonder how far they're going to go. Like, are they going to lead this, like you said, all the way out to Danny? And is the last episode of season 2, 3, 4, whatever they end up doing, gonna be the birth of Danny, or is it going to be Danny and her brother, or is it going to be the death of? Actually, could be the death of the Mad King,
I feel like that
and
would
then
be a
that,
good stopping point, like Death of the Mad
yeah,
King, because it's referenced so much. That would have to be the pinnacle, surely.
yeah. I also love, again, I love the King scenes. How much Viserys is starting to feel like Robert Baratheon, and I think that's
Yeah.
intentional, like reminding us that no matter who's in power, it really is the same job and the same sort of responsibility, but lack of ultimately your lack of decision making. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
cool episode. There's a
It
four
was.
for sure.
Yeah,
Hmm.
easy. We agree on that one. All right.
Yeah, we agreed
Next
on. I
week.
think we agreed pretty well on things tonight.
Yeah, normally,
Alienoid about the same.
yeah, normally we're a bit hit and miss, but
Yeah,
we're yeah, occasionally we do agree.
not bad. Hey, look
Yeah,
at that.
even
We're
you like
friends
my
after
jokes.
all. Nope, can't agree on that.
That's what brings the fun.
Hurts me. Brings the pain.
Oh, well, I'm excited because next week we are watching, well, and you guys are watching to make it even more fun for you guys at home
Hmm.
so you can play along. Dragon Ball Superhero. Like, I
Woo.
am so excited. I've already seen it, so I get to see it again, and I can't wait.
Yeah,
Like, I am a big Dragon Ball Z
can't
fan.
wait to watch it again.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's one of the rare things that I do watch more than once.
Fair, fair.
And just in case you did watch 3,000 Years and Longing, we are definitely going to get hold of that one this week as well. So,
Hmm.
unfortunately for you, it's 2 weeks of longing, not 3,000 years. So, look on the glass half full side. So, don't long too much. We're going to play our 3 episode rule in terms of Lord of the Rings. So, we're going to give the third episode of Lord of the Rings of Power, another chance and decide from there. So if you do really like it, somehow let us know. Check out the socials, jump on Twitch and let Lawson and myself know and just tell us you're from the potty. We should have like a
It's
secret code for anyone that jumps in for like on Twitch or on for
a secret code,
secret code. Let's
like a discount code.
let's go say glad I'm here.
No, stop. No one wants your shit jokes as their
Everyone
code.
does. That's they do.
Wait, hold on. I'm confused. Are we? Is there a break now in Dragons, or are we watching Dragons next week as well?
Yeah, we're watching Dragons as well.
So we're going to watch four things next week.
Oh,
Well,
oh.
you've said Years of Longing,
Yep. Dragon Ball Superhero.
Dragon Ball Superhero,
Yep. Rings
and
and Dragons.
Rings and
It's a big
Dragons.
episode for the fans. Fourth episode.
Mate, I can't do four episodes.
I'm sure you can.
Oh my god. I can't fit four episodes in the thumbnail. The thumbnail only fits three. I can't make a new thumbnail.
I feel like you can.
Ah, gosh, you're making things difficult.
See, guys, I do it for you. Old
We'll,
mate over here.
we'll
He's
talk
just
off
singing to
stream
himself.
because no,
He
we
loves
need
it.
to talk about this. I do
Our
want to watch all three. I do want to watch all four of those things though, so I probably still will.
Just
Um,
keep the thumbnail as three things, and we'll talk about four just for you guys because we might drop Lord of the Rings. We
the
don't know.
secret. Well,
That's it.
and we also don't know if we're gonna be able to watch Years of Longing yet. So,
Yeah.
because we
So
haven't found it,
we're
found it. So
still longing for that too. So you guys might be
it's
longing.
breaking me. It's three episodes in, and I want to be done.
No, you don't.
Oh
lie.
gosh.
Oh, but that's gonna
All
be
right,
good.
everyone. Tell your goddamn friends.
That's right. Thank you for tuning in, and make sure if you can rate us on Spotify, on Apple, on Amazon, whatever you're listening to. You could be anywhere,
Yeah.
and you could be doing anything that you like, but you're here listening to us, and we do appreciate it. So if you can give us a rating, I don't really know how that works on Spotify, but work it out, and make sure you tell your friends. I feel like that's a fantastic idea.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends, everybody.
We'll get a catchier sign off soon. Not
Nah,
this
that's killer.
episode, but
Tell
next
your
episode.
friends. Never.
Tell your friends.
Never.
Whatever.
Never polished.
No.
Tell your friends.
Yeah.
Love you.
All of them.
Goodbye.